welcome back to the show, everyone. We're in First and Short, your first place to get short bits of college football news and analysis. Um, my name is Aaron. I'm here with my co-host Mashfik, and we have a lot on the agenda today. But before we get started, I definitely want to let you guys know. Please subscribe. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It takes nothing to just hit that button and subscribe. So please do so. Support us if you can.
Yeah, Aaron, you weren't here last episode. I'm glad you're back, by the way. But we're over 100 now. We're in 3 digits now, man. So next stop 4 digits. So yeah, please subscribe.
Hey, as Kirby would say, keep chopping wood.
And keep chopping. You just got to keep chopping. Keep subscribing. Yeah,
keep subscribing. Alrighty. So on the agenda for today, we're gonna go over some NCAA news that just kind of broke. We're gonna go over some games for the weekend. We're going to go over, the perfect weekend where you can be a couch potato and just ride away and watch football. And then lastly, we're going to do some deep dives into those big games of the weekend. With that being said, Mash, I believe you're going to brief us on what just happened recently.
Yeah, so earlier this week, the NCAA, they passed some dates for a one-time only college football transfer portal situation. So earlier this year, the news dropped that they're talking about it or whatever. But, on Tuesday this week, they mentioned that it's going to be the 2025-2026 transfer portal. It's only going to last 15 days. It's going to span from January 2nd to January 16th. The players will have to enter during this time, but they don't necessarily have to commit anywhere just yet. The obvious questions that come up that we discussed last time, as well as the teams that are still in the playoffs, what are they going to do? So the players on those teams, they still have 5 days to enter the portal, starting the day after the team's final game of the season, right? So it's kind of a staggered approach. I imagine that coaches and GMs at all these teams, they're going to wait and see who leaves teams before they start making final decisions. So that's what I would do anyway. And then there's still rules about, like, if your coach gets fired, when can you enter? If you're, what other? I guess there's other rules, but all these situations are kind of laid out in this new kind of schedule. So, I know, Aaron, you were doing some stats. I think this will cut down on some of the bad effects of the transfer portal. Aaron, I think you pulled up some numbers on what we've kind of seen over the last few years and what it might cut down on.
Sure. So, just kind of looking at a high-level view of 2024 and the football transfer portal cycle, roughly 3,300 players entered the portal in 2024, right? Mm-hmm. Players that actually committed to a new team, 2,281. So that's roughly 69% of players, nice. Who who actually were able to commit to a team in the off season. What does that say? What is that saying? You have a roughly 28% of players who are still uncommitted or did not find a team by the start of the new season. I think this is what leads to so many players reclassifying these days. Hopefully,
so many young players come in. That's why Ryan Williams, 17 years old. That's why he's playing on Alabama, because players are just disappearing. Players are just like Thanos. They're just disappearing out the league.
Exactly, right. And so another statistic I pulled up, we call it the Power 4 Exodus, right? So historically, nearly 60% of the players who enter the portal come from Power 5 schools. But only about 50% of those who complete a transfer actually end up at another Power 5 school. So, ultimately, there's also a downward trend. As high as 60 to 60% of student athletes who successfully transfer are moving to a lower level of competition. So overall,
so they move from like the power level down to the group of 5 level or something like that, right?
Sure. So, they're going from a Georgia to a West Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Just to give you a practical example. It's hurting the sport. I'm glad the window, is concluding, or it takes place at the conclusion of a season. It gives, kids a little bit more time to think about the decisions they're going to make. With all the changes college football has these days, I can only imagine the pressure you know, I mean, they're still kids. These kids have to make on
Yeah.
a on a day to day decision basis.
Yeah. So I think it'll be good. I think it'll bring some stability to the sport. Let's move forward into how we can all be couch potatoes this weekend. We want a great amount of games. We actually had to cut some games that we wanted to talk about because there's just too many. Um, right. So let's start Saturday at noon. We have number one Ohio State going up to Illinois. This will be one of our deep dives, so we'll provide our picks on that later. Another noon game is Alabama at number 8, Alabama at number 14, Missouri. That's gonna be a great one. These are all ranked teams. Illinois and Missouri, welcome to the party. Saturday, 3:30. I practiced this since the last episode. Red River rivalry. Unranked Texas versus number 6 Oklahoma. This is actually our underdog pick of the week. We're 4-3 on that, by the way. Full disclosure. I think that right now the line is Oklahoma plus 1.5. Obviously, with the John Mateer news, this is fluctuating a little bit. It's kind of unclear if he's going to play or not. Oklahoma without John Mateer is basically Texas. Michael Hawkins Jr., the backup quarterback at Oklahoma, and Arch Manning are basically the same player. Both of their defenses are great. The only difference here is that one of these teams knows how to win a football game and the other one doesn't. So I think with Oklahoma being unfavored here, I think they're going to straight up win the game.
Mm,
Any thoughts
okay.
there, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, one team knows how to win, the other team doesn't. It is a rivalry. Rivalries always cancel out the data, but I'm gonna have to
Yeah.
stick with the overall logic behind your pick there. I'm picking Oklahoma as well.
Nice.
Also, I was so close to being in the atmosphere of the game
Really?
this upcoming weekend. Yeah, my job is actually, they're gonna send me out to Texas, but they're sending me next week, so not this weekend.
Oh, go ahead and
Yep.
talk to him real quick. Just be like,
Hey,
I need it this
I need it. Want to
weekend.
go to the Red River rivalry, but
Yeah.
it'll be a good game to watch while I'm riding in my couch. Having my
Okay.
couch potato
Fair.
weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, yep. As we go and move on further down the list of what to watch, on Saturday, we have 3:30 Northwestern at Penn State. Penn State, they're coming off of that
Mm.
tragic loss to UCLA, the
Back to
winless
back loss.
UCLA team.
Yeah.
Exactly. Back to back losses. And then, fun fact, I saw this Northwestern actually did beat UCLA.
Yeah. I think that was like a week 2 or something earlier. Yeah. We were saying UCLA is going to use this as a get right game, and they never got back right.
Never
So,
got right.
I think yeah. I think Penn State can. It's at Penn State. Northwestern is considered one of the worst teams. I think Penn State should get this one.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're going to see a very pissed off Penn State team at
Yeah.
home. So yeah, I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah. I hope so.
Yep. Next on the list, another 3:30 game. So many games to watch at 3:30. You just have to keep the remote in your hand and just flip
Yeah.
every 30 seconds.
Eight bucks the TV.
A-box. That's right. That's right. We have number 7 Indiana going to number 3 Oregon. That is going to be another deep dive game we will talk about later. So we'll
Hmm.
provide input and insight on that later. Um, the last 3:30 game, I swear. Virginia Tech, they are going to number 13 Georgia Tech this weekend. We have this on our list. Just my personal opinion. Georgia Tech has not fully proven that they are a legit team. They're not fully on my radar yet as being a legit team. So I want to see how well they do in all of these conference games they play throughout the season.
Yeah, I
Yep.
would say. Well, what's your pick, or do you want me to go first?
You go first, and then I'll add to it.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. Georgia Tech has shown great flashes. I think by the end of the season, Haynes King will probably only have like one elbow and one knee left. The way he plays, but I have even less confidence in Virginia Tech. So I think Georgia Tech will take care of this one.
Mhm. I think they're going to have a little bit of struggles throughout the game, but I also agree Georgia Tech will take care of this game.
Nice.
And then Saturday at 4:15, we have Arkansas going to number 12 Tennessee, going to Rocky Top. With without their old coach Pittman, and now they're going in with Bobby Petrino, right?
Yeah,
So it's going to be
that'll be fun to watch.
interesting, fun to
Interesting
watch,
storyline. Interesting storylines.
interesting storylines. But I think Tennessee is just going to keep on rocket topping. I think they're going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
win it.
yeah. Yep, I agree with you there. I think Tennessee will take care of business at home. All right, so that's it for the afternoon games. Let's move into the night games. We got Florida somehow winning against Texas. Like, if you're going to win a game, it might as well be that one. Good job, Florida. Good job, Billy. They're going to play another Texas team this weekend. This time in Texas. So they're going to go play number 5 Texas A&M. I think that magic is probably worn off by now. So I think Texas A&M's about to win this one. What do you think?
Okay. Okay. I think Billy wants to do everything in his power to cool off that hot seat, the
Yeah,
flaming hot seat he's in right now. But I'm gonna have to agree. Texas A&M, they look strong. I don't think this is gonna be the hurdle that trips them. So I'm going
yeah,
Texas A&M as well.
yep, yep. 7:30, number 10 Georgia at Auburn. I think Auburn's going to win this one by 100 points. No, just kidding.
Paul.
I'm just kidding. Georgia, I think, should win. They had a really good, get back right game against Kentucky last week. Their offensive line is gelling. Their running backs are getting better. I will say the one thing that might trip them up for Georgia, if they can't get their sack numbers are like terrible. If they can't get to Jackson Arnold, then this team has deeper flaws than anyone realizes. But I think all that aside, I think Georgia will be able to win this one against Auburn.
Yep. I'm gonna agree with you there. Georgia will win. I think this is a game to where they're not playing out of desperation, trying to do everything to win, but it'll be good enough competition to, sharpen iron and get better in conference play.
Yeah, against a quality team. Yep. All right. So same time, number 15 Michigan at USC. Really interested in this one. I'm getting. It's hard to read what kind of team USC is. Their scores have been all over the place based on their last few games. This is actually another underdog pick of the week that we wanted to make. Number 15 Michigan is playing against unranked USC. Michigan, I think, has played better competition. And Michigan is they're being given 2.5 points, so they're the underdog by 2.5 points. I think Michigan's going to straight up win this game, so that's my other underdog pick. Looking at the past 3 games, USC has played Purdue. It was 33-17 against Michigan State. Michigan State scored 31 points. That's one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. And then Illinois actually beat them 34-32. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to read, like I said, what USC is, but I think we know what Michigan is. Michigan knows their identity. I think they're going to be able to win this one in California.
Nice, nice. I think Michigan will win this game as well. Like you said, that they've had a chance to really develop, had some tough losses, but they were against quality opponents. I think they'll find a way to win. Yep.
Yep. All right, last few games for the night. We got Kansas at number 9, Texas Tech. Y'all know how I feel about Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech will win this one. They have one of the best offenses, one of the best defenses in the country, and Kansas does not. So I'm going with Texas Tech.
Yeah. I feel pretty confident in Texas Tech in this one. Kansas is not a terrible team. They've only lost 2 games, and they lost to Missouri. They lost to Missouri by 9, not a bad loss, and they lost to Cincinnati by 3. So they could be a team that'll put up a good fight. But I'm going to have to go Texas Tech as well. I think their offense is just going to be too explosive.
Nice. This is a night game in Death Valley. South Carolina at number 11 LSU. I'm thinking some things are about to get exposed about LSU. If I do give it to LSU here, it's only because it's at night, but I think Beamer ball is about to come into play here. I think South Carolina might get the upset.
Man, you stole it from me. I wanted to say it. Beamer ball, man. He's going to find a way. I feel like South Carolina, they didn't start off the first half of the season the way they wanted to. So I think they're going to find a way to sneak a win out in Death Valley.
Nice. And then we have number 18 BYU at Arizona Saturday, 8 p.m. BYU is number one in the Big 12 conference. I didn't know how to read. I didn't know how to feel about this one. BYU hasn't like quote unquote played anybody, but I think Arizona, they're at home. I think they might be able to get the upset here.
Yeah,
What's their quarterback's name? Noah Fafita is his name. Yeah, he's good. I think he'll be able to beat BYU against a freshman quarterback.
wow, you're going against
Yeah.
Bear Bockenmeyer, right? I find this game really interesting. You know, BYU, they're one of the quiet, low-ranked, undefeated teams.
Right.
But again, they're playing there Arizona. They're playing at night for us, midday for Arizona. I'm gonna have to go with BYU. I think they're gonna find a way to win this conference game.
Okay.
It's gonna be close, it's gonna be tough, but I think they'll find a way to win.
All right. So that's the only one we disagreed on, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All
Alrighty.
right.
Now it's time to get into the deep dives. The games we think are going to be really interesting this weekend and our personal big games of the week. Um, First at noon, we have number one Ohio State at number 16 Illinois. Um, my first thoughts for this to be a top 20 ranked matchup. It seems pretty interesting that Ohio State is favored by 14 and a half points, being the away team in this one.
Hmm.
Uh, Although it is a fair take, from the odds due to Illinois' only loss being, a huge blemish. They were blown out by Indiana 10-63, right? Uh, Illinois, besides that one hiccup or whatever you want to call it, disaster, they've beat everybody else in their schedule pretty convincingly. And they even gave, Lincoln Riley's USC their first and only loss of the season so far. So, Mash, what are some key factors that led to them being embarrassed like that by Indiana? What made them look so uncharacteristic to their normal Saturday?
Yeah. I think overwhelmingly the first answer points to their defense. That defense just couldn't stop a cold. I mean, they gave up 8 touchdowns. They gave up 31 first downs and 312 rushing yards in one game. Fernando Mendoza became the Heisman favorite out of nowhere after playing a lights out type of performance from himself. He had almost a perfect game with 267 passing yards. He also had four passing touchdowns in the first half. If I have to point out a true weakness, it's the team's secondary, as they rank last in the Big Ten in passing yards allowed with over 250 a game. The second thing that I noticed was how quickly the offensive line broke down all game. Illinois went into the game leading the Big Ten conference in sacks allowed, and then nothing changed that week as Luke Altmaier was sacked 7 times. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Okay, nice. Yes, I mean that's kind of what went wrong. With that being said, in this week's matchup, what do we know about Ohio State? Why are they ranked number one this year, and then why are they just the overwhelming favorite? Speaking respectively in terms of how these teams are ranked.
Yeah. I just talked about defense in one side of the spectrum. Let's talk about it on the other side. Ohio State is the third best ranked defense this year, allowing only 215 yards total offense per game. I mean, that's just historically great. And honestly, I was expecting more of a drop off after Jim Knowles left. But if you're sleeping on Matt Patricia's defense here, it's time to wake up. They have not allowed a single touchdown in the red zone all season. I thought that was very impressive. Yeah.
Okay, so you talk about this dominant defense. Who are some key players you should probably watch or tune into this Saturday?
Um, On the defensive side for Ohio State, Caleb Downs, he's one of my favorite players in the league right now. He's widely considered, the best defensive back in the country. He's great in coverage. He's elite and very physical in run support, which is crazy considering he's a safety. He's always back. He's all the way back there, and he's definitely the vocal leader of this defense. Edge rusher for Ohio State. His name's Caden Curry. He's relentless. He leads the team in sacks and tackles for loss. Illinois is known for having the Big Ten's worst sack rate. So that's another stat that they're terrible in. So he'll do he'll do his job to make sure that stat looks even worse. And then one player that caught my eye on Ohio State's defense last year was Sonny Styles. He's used a lot in like hybrid, linebacker or safety looks. But Matt Patricia, he uses him, everywhere on the defense. So he's going to be crucial in stopping, Luke Altmaier's, kind of mobility and Illinois' like RPO looks. So those are a few of the characters. Those are a few of the players that I would, kind of look out for.
Yeah, that's really, really good input. With that being said, my personal opinion, in this game, numbers don't lie. If Illinois, if they want to somehow score and keep up with, Ohio State's Julian Sayin production numbers, they're going to have to be perfect. And honestly, I don't know if I see that happening. Sayin, he enters Saturday with, a 78.6 completion rate. That's leading the nation. He's thrown for already over 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns through five games. His top target, Jeremiah Smith, a guy we've talked about, last year and all this year. He's already got 612 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. He averages about 120 yards receiving per game. The Buckeyes, as an offense, also are just putting up 37.4 points per game. They've even scored touchdowns on 92% of the times they visit the red zone. So if they're down there, they're scoring. They're the second best in the Big Ten at doing this. With all of that being said, this decision is almost a little too easy for me to make. I'm going to go with the Buckeyes by a lot. What's your opinion on this match?
Yeah, I too many things have to go right for Illinois. Ohio State, the only thing that could trip them up is that they haven't had to they haven't had to play to their full potential in a long time. Maybe you can consider, against Washington. But yeah, too many things have to go right for Illinois. I think Ohio State should be able to get this one. Cool. So Saturday also at noon. Although it'll be 11 a.m. Central Time in Columbia, Missouri. Number 8 Alabama is going to play the Mizzou Tigers. Missouri's actually coming into this game undefeated, 5-0. Their resume obviously has question marks as their strength of schedule is ranked 109th in the nation. But I think this is a chance for Bo Pribula, transfer from Penn State, quarterback transfer. Chance for him and Ahmad Hardy to show the country what this team is made of, what these guys are made of. Let's start with Ahmad Hardy. In the SEC, he has the most yards and the most touchdowns as a running back. In the entire country, he has the most yards, and he's only second in touchdowns. So he's averaging a crazy 7.1 yards per carry this season with 9 rushing touchdowns. As a team, the Tigers are averaging almost 6 yards per rush, which puts them, number 3 ranking in the country. So, matchup-wise, Alabama's run defense is an area of concern. They're allowing 4.6, yards per carry. So that's ranked number 15 in the SEC. So, just looking at the simple math, if Missouri can run the ball for more than 5 yards per carry against this Alabama defense, that gives them a good chance to keep the high-powered, Alabama offense off the field and have a great shot at an upset. So those are two kind of areas that I thought could be maybe a mismatch. Aaron, what do you think? Can Alabama's defense, finally win the line of scrimmage against, a top 3 national rushing offense?
So it sounds like this battle is going to be won in the trenches, right?
Yeah.
Um, Alabama's defensive front, honestly, they have to play, one of their most physical games of the season with a team this effective in the run game. They need to be the aggressors. Mizzou wants to control the pace. They want to keep Alabama's offense off of the field, like you said. If they can hold Ahmad Hardy under control and force, the quarterback Bo Perbula to beat him with his arm on third and long, uh, the whole Mizzou operation is to a halt. The name of the game is to make them one dimensional, right? And not in the dimension that they would want to be in. So I'm sure they're going to want to run the ball, control the game that way, control the clock, stop the run,
Hmm.
stuff up the middle of the field, and win in the trenches.
Yep. Trenches. Yeah, for sure. But even if they do make them, one dimensional, Bo Perbula actually has a top two passing completion percentage in the nation right now. Although I think Alabama's passing defense is probably tougher than anything Missouri has faced so far. So this will definitely be the biggest test for him so far this season. Um, but yeah, I think I've said a few things where Missouri can lean in and try to get this upset. What do you think Alabama has to do, in a total team sense, in order to win this game on the road in Columbia?
Sure, sure. So, as a defense, if they had to key in on anybody, they have to key in on Ahmad Hardy, right? That's number one. He's rushed for over 100 yards in every single game he's played in this year. Uh, the rushing game for them has to be better. That's hard to do in a Missouri offense that's ranked, 1 and 2 in all rush defense categories, right? It's not a high bar to make it better though. Alabama's rush offense has been, pretty pedestrian, pretty mid to lower tier, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know Jam Miller, this will be his third game back from the injury.
That'll
They
help.
got
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to find a way to get something going. Other than that, Ty Simpson, he has to continue to be great. 70.3% completion rate and 1,478 passing yards through games. His success in the intermediate and deep passing game connects into guys like Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams. This is what will neutralize Missouri's stingy defense, right? Overall, I think if he continues to be the field general and limit his mistakes, I think Alabama has a pretty good chance. I'm going to go with the Tide to win this game, actually.
I am gonna go with Missouri. I
Mm,
think I think Alabama's gonna get like they wanted that revenge. Okay, obviously they wanted to beat Georgia. Then they were like, oh, we got to beat Vanderbilt. I am 100% sure that they've overlooked these guys. We'll see.
interesting.
Missouri's defense is really good. Missouri's defense is really good, a lot better than I thought it was after looking into the numbers. And um and yeah, it's an away game, early, kind of. Anything can happen.
That's our Anything can happen. That's right.
Yeah.
We shall see. I think it'll be a good competitive game. Um, and then our last deep dive of the weekend. It's probably the highest rated matchup of the weekend. We got
Mm-hmm.
number 7 Indiana going to number 3 Oregon at 3:30 on Saturday. This is a sneaky good top 10 game this weekend. Personally, I'm glad we're seeing Indiana, play more real competition earlier in the season. I know they did whatever they wanted to against Illinois, but we'll see if the hype is real once they play, one of the best teams in the country on Saturday afternoon. This game features, two of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. For Oregon, you have Dante Moore. He's an absolute surgeon with an elite 74.6 percentage of his passes completed. Um, he's the engine of a high octane offense. On the other side of the ball, on the other team, you have Fernando Mendoza. He's right there with an incredible 16 touchdown passes and just one interception. He thrives in those critical scoring areas. The key matchup for this game will be Oregon's offensive line versus Indiana's elite pass rush. Indiana on defense is a havoc machine. They rank eighth in the FBS. I think they average about 3.2 sacks per game. So they got multiple guys, like Isaiah Jones, who has, I think, 3.5 sacks, who can get home easily. Uh, Oregon's offensive line has only allowed one sack all season, so that's going to be an interesting matchup.
Mm-hmm.
The best defense they played before this game against Penn State, the pocket was spotless, so that's really interesting. It's going to be a good matchup to see. So, Mash, my question for you: uh, what's the blueprint to win for Indiana?
Yeah, for Indiana, I think we the closest that Oregon came to losing was last week, Penn State, 2 overtimes. So let's look at what Penn State did to almost win the game, right? So I think one of the main things was elite linebacker play, which is needed against a high-powered, not spread offense, but spread like offense, like Oregon likes to do. You'll need the linebacker to not just focus on the run plays or the runner or just spy the quarterback. They have to cover against the pass as well, and so Indiana will definitely have to get their linebackers on that script for when they're on defense. For a team like Indiana, underdog going into a rough environment like Autzen Stadium has become over the last few years, you have to win the turnover battle. They have a lot of takeaways. Their defense does this year, but it's hard to do against a quarterback like Dante Moore, who just does not throw the ball to the wrong team. And I think for Fernando Mendoza, he's not the Heisman favorite anymore, but he was at one point, and he has to prove why he even got to that point. He has to keep his composure. That's plain and simple. He can't let all the quacking get to him, right? But it's easier said than done. Keeping your composure. Like I said, that stadium is loud, but if he wants his team to win, a lot of it falls on Mendoza being level headed. So yeah, that's Indiana has to do a lot. What do you think Oregon has to do in order to win this game?
Sure. So Oregon has to do a couple of things. Um, One key thing they really have to do is eliminate those explosive plays that Indiana hunts for. Oregon's defense is built to be aggressive, without being burned over the top. Uh, they have the number one explosive number of plays allowed, so I think they're going to continue to try to limit that as much as possible. Uh, they also have to force, the Hoosiers to run for short gains. Um, Another thing they may have to do on offense is convert in the red zone. The Oregon offense has actually been pretty flawless in terms of finishing drives. So if they continue to do that, I think they'll be fine. They'll do well. Basically, they have to just stay the course, right? Do what you've always done to win games and continue to be efficient, successful. Don't allow anything big time to happen, and you'll win this game. And I think that's why I'm going to pick Oregon to win this one. What's your pick?
Yep. I'm going to pick Oregon as well. I think you said it best. Stay the course and do what you've always done. Indiana's going to have to do a lot. Oregon, just stay with the script and attack with that balanced attack that you've always had. And they should be able to overpower this one.
Mm-hmm. All righty. Well, we shall see on Saturday. That's pretty much we all have for the show today, guys. We will be back Sunday to cover the results. We'll go over some key plays and see who our biggest winners and losers from week 7 are. With that being said, thank you.
Thanks for watching First and Short.